I see a little delay. I hear you first, and then your mouth moves a few seconds later.
Hey, everybody. We are live here on the 18 Strong podcast. We have Art Chou from Rapsodo Golf joining us, and you might have just heard Art chiming in that we may have a little bit of technical difficulty here as far as a little bit of a delay on the screen, but hopefully that won't hinder the viewing experience here. But we'll bring Art in just a second. Art is working with is part of the Rapsodo team, Rapsodo Golf, which is a really cool mobile launch monitor that we're going to be talking about today. But I want to get into Art's history and the story of how he got into the golf business, working with Titleist back in the day, working with Rawling Sports back in the day. So we're going to bring him in for kind of a history lesson on where launch monitors and some of that stuff came from. But before we jump in, I do want to say thanks to our sponsors for this week's episode, Linksole. Linksole is our preferred brand of apparel. They deck us out in all of our gear, and we love to wear them both on and off the course. I'm always sporting my bamboo 5-pocket stretch pants as well as my pocket sweatshirt. You can check that out. I just saw this morning on my email that they have an incredible deal going on. You might want to head over to Linksole after this episode and check out their 3-for-1 hat deal that they have going on today. And you can always get your discount code for Linksole by going to 18strong.com/Linksole. You'll get your 20% off code, but go to that page because we update the code every single month. So once again, that's 18strong.com/Linksole. All right, I'm excited to bring in our guest this week, Mr. Art Chou. Art, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Jeff. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. This is awesome. We've been talking a lot about getting you on the show for a while now. You guys are actually here in St. Louis, which is kind of a great coincidence that we're able to connect so much. But I want to dig into your story as you've got your Rawlings Rapsodo jacket on there that the viewers can see. But I want to know about you working at Titleist and Rawlings and really kind of how everything came to where you are today. But give me a little bit of background. Give me the story of you actually getting into Titleist. I just read this in an article that you did on in an interview from a while back, but the story of you actually getting your interview at Titleist is kind of a fun one.
Oh, it's a great lesson. Yeah, so I got my undergraduate and master's degree in engineering. I'm working in defense, but I'm putting clubs together. It's back in the days. This is the late '80s. When there's no internet, right? So you got catalogs, you got mail order catalogs. I'm buying shafts and heads. I'm putting together, and I see an ad. Actually, a friend shows me an ad, golf club engineer for Titleist, and I said, "Geez, this is." And my friend says, "This is what you're doing on your spare time. You got to go try this out." So I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to try this, but I don't want to just send my resume in." So I say, I got to figure out a way to get a kind of a backdoor who can I talk to inside of the Titleist. So we had a sales rep who was a college golfer who would call on us, who would take us out to play every now and then. I asked him, "Hey, do you know anybody at Titleist?" And he goes, "I don't, but let me do. My old teammate, my buddy, he's still playing on the mini tours. He's a Titleist guy. Let me ask him." So about 2 days goes by, and I get a phone call, and my buddy Joe calls up and says, "Hey, yeah." So my buddy calls me up and tells the guy you need to talk to is a guy named Wally Uline. So I write down Wally Uline, right? And so I go and I dial the 800 numbers back when everybody had 800 number 800 whatever it is Titleist. Hello, Titleist, Footjar Worldwide. Yeah, may I speak to Wally Uline, please? And please hold. Get over there, and then Wally's assistant picks up. Hello, Wally Uline's desk. Hey, may I speak to Wally, please? No, I'm sorry, he's not in. May I ask who's calling? I said, well, he doesn't know me, but I'm here. I'm trying to apply for this job. I hear. This guy I know told me I should talk to Wally about this position. And she goes, yeah, I'm sorry, Wally's not interviewing for that position, but let me see if there's somebody over in R&D. That's over in R&D. Let me see if somebody over in R&D can talk to you. So she puts me on hold. I get transferred over to somebody in R&D who was actually the guy that's running ball development there. Bill Morgan gets on the phone. We later on became good friends. And he starts asking me questions. So he actually basically a cold call, starts asking me questions. Long story short, I end up getting an interview, talking my way into an interview there that I'm going to be in the area. Can I talk to somebody? I get in the door. I know it's going well, when I had this whole long list of people to go talk to that the HR person gives me a list of everybody to talk to. And the first person is Herb Baum. Herb's the vice president of R&D for all Titleist FootJoy. I walk into his desk, big office. Herb pulls out my resume, and he looks at my resume and goes, "So you were engineering at Penn, huh? Mechanical engineering?" I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Me too."
No way.
And that's what it goes. Me, and that's just one of those when you go, this is right. This is meant to be. And we start talking about, I mean, he's obviously older than I am, but we start talking. So it worked out fantastic. I get the job, and as soon as I join, I find out that Wally Uline is the president and CEO of Titleist FootJoy Worldwide. So I essentially cold called, 800 number asking to talk to the CEO, and actually got talking to his. And I've told Sue, his assistant at the time, said, thank you so much for not blowing me off. That if it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you right now about sports and golf. So it's just these little things in life that you never know how they're going to take you.
Oh man, it's crazy because had you known he was the CEO, president, you probably never would have made that phone call.
Oh, I would have been never, and not only that, just talking to them, I would have been nervous, would have been shaking, and it's almost you're so young and naive and dumb that it actually works in your favor, that you don't know what you shouldn't be doing, and you just go for it. All right.
Right. So what exactly did you then do at Titleist? Kind of what was your role, and what was the department that you ended up working in?
Yeah, so I ended up started in R&D. Developing golf clubs. This was back in the late 80s. I started there in '89, and at the time, they obviously were number one in golf ball development. Had a very large golf ball development organization, but they were not developing their golf clubs internally. Most of the golf clubs they were developing were all designed by the factories. They were taking for those of you who remember, and historically, this was back when. The main club for Titleist was the DTRs. They had the DTR irons, and that was more of a house brand club that was developed by the foundries as opposed to developed by Titleist themselves. And what I can remember telling people is that I joined, and there were 60 people in the R&D department at the time. There were 59 of them developing golf balls, and it was me for clubs. So there was. Well, my position was there to try and start to develop golf clubs from a a sound technical foundation, the same way that they had started designing golf balls. So I got to help, hire people in and build up a department at Titleist. It was a great time. It was an unbelievable experience.
What year was that again when you started?
This was 1989.
So what did that look like? I mean, obviously they're a huge brand in the development of clubs now, but you started out as your one individual guy. So was it literally you with tinkering with different clubs and then bringing on new people and coming up with new designs?
It was exactly that. It was. Basically the what you had was you had Iron Byron, right? You had a hitting robot, and then you this was before they had launch monitors, right? So you had Iron Byron. You had some camera technologies, and then you had an outdoor field. So it would be the old days that the way you would test clubs was we would do face mapping. You would basically draw out the locations on the field, find out the sweet spot on the club, and then you draw plus or minus heel toe shots, maybe plus or minus a half inch. You'd go up or down plus or minus a quarter inch. So you'd map out the different locations where you're going to hit it on the club face, and then you would go and you would put some sort of tape on the club, arrange the Iron Byron, the robot, so that you make sure you're hitting it exactly in the spot you want, and then you say, okay, go. You'd hit 10 balls, and you literally let them fly out into the field, and you have you have people there with the pole, and you would measure exactly where they landed. So you would do it the old-fashioned way of actually manually plotting where the balls ended up, and you would hopefully have a tighter window where all the balls ended up when you hit it all around the face. We would do face mapping kind of the old-fashioned way from the starter.
So, what are some of the big projects that you kind of remember being game changers for Titleist? Some of the big ones that you were involved in developing?
When I got on board, '89, one of my mentors there was a guy named John Hoflick. So John had come over from Tommy Armour, I think the year or two before, and they had the 845s back in the one of the real solid early cavity back irons, and John was already essentially taking the 845 design and designing a new club. And he was about a year into it, and I was essentially his technical arm in developing what became the DCI irons, the whole line of DCI irons that Titleist sold through most of the '90s, I think, and that's really where I cut my teeth on how to design equipment, where to find balance points, what the look and feel, hosel transitions down into the leading edge, all that kind of stuff, all that stuff, that type of stuff. That was I got to learn from a guy like John. That was really the author and creator of some of the classic game improvement irons.
So, just to give us a little perspective, you said you started out, there were 60 people in the R&D department. 59 of those were golf ball. One guy, that was you, was in the club development. Now, what could we expect from Titleist as far as their R&D team? How big is it? How much is dedicated to each?
Oh, geez, when we moved it out, we moved it to Carlsbad in '93, I think '93 or '94, and there were probably 15 or 20 of us focused on that, between a few engineers. You had some model makers. You had product management people, and so my guess is that on the R&D side, they probably have in that same range of people. You probably have a few product managers and maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 engineers working on products at minimum, I would imagine.
Wow. I'd like to bring us forward a little bit more to the present now and talk a little bit of Rapsodo Golf, because I know just from talking with you guys, talking with Jeff and the team over at Rapsodo, some of the cool things that are happening with the technology that you guys are developing, that you guys have developed. Give us a little background first on where Rapsodo even came from, because before this mobile launch monitor, which has become a huge deal in the world of golf, give us a little background on, first of all, what Rapsodo was before that.
Yeah, so I give you a little history of Rapsodo and then a little history of kind of the launch monitors of what we've been doing. So Rapsodo started in 2010, 2011, and was started by a Turkish engineer that was a Silicon Valley guy, who was a struggling golfer, and he had his vision wasn't as good, so he couldn't track the ball downrange. And as any good engineer, he said, "Hey, I could figure out a solution that where I can track the ball downrange that doesn't cost me 20 grand." And this was 2010. It's the Trackman flight scope are out, but they're $18,000, $20,000. So he uses his computer vision expertise to develop what he wants. He wants to be cost effective. So he wants to be cost effective, so it's a personal unit, but then also be able to be accurate, so that you really know where the ball is going. And fast forward a few years later, the product that he starts to develop in 2015 gets introduced by Sky Golf as Skytrak. So Skytrak is the first product that Rapsodo ever introduced. Rapsodo still manufactures them. The technology is all Rapsodo's. We put them in the box, so we ship them to Sky Golf, and Sky Golf sells them and sells and distributes them under that Skytrak brand. So it started there, but it was kind of nice that I got a front row seat a little bit in the technology side of kind of launch monitors and how they develop. Because if you go back to 89, 1990, when I'm testing golf equipment for Titleist, that was pre-Trackman, that was pre-launch monitor, and for those of you that know the company, Titleist had a room at the time called the Acushnet Golf Center, AGC. We used to call it the AGC, and it was a big room, and it was where it had, you could put an iron byron there, so you actually could use an indoor iron byron hitting it. Basically, it was like a big indoor simulation room, but it had enough room to put the robot in there, or you could move the robot off and you could put a tee there where a person could hit. Had all these different sorts of cameras on the ceiling and at all different angles, and it was a series of strobe cameras that were going to measure the ball right as soon as you hit it. You had to put hairs. You had to draw lines on the ball. You take a Sharpie and draw the tee on the ball. Make sure that the crosshairs on the ball were facing the camera on the side. So it had to be perfect because you had the cameras coming in from the side as you hit. And you turned all the lights down because you had strobes. You turn the lights down a little bit, and you hit, and you hear, and you see the flash, and you'd go over to the launch monitor, and you'd pull out the Polaroid. This was a Polaroid.
No way.
Polaroid. You take it, you tip it, you do it. You blow on it a little bit. You peel it off, and on the Polaroid, you'd have a double exposure of the ball. So you'd have a ball here and a ball here, and the T would be a certain in the T here, and you knew the time frame between the two exposures. So you knew the time. Right. So you had to take a ruler and measure the distance. And if you could measure the distance, you know the time, then you can get the velocity. You would have to take a protractor and measure the angle. So you draw your angles and measure the angle. That's 10-degree launch, and that's 140 mile per hour ball speed. And then because you knew the T here and then the T was up here, you knew how much it had rotated in that time, so you could get the backspin. And you literally had to do that, do the math calculation. Took probably 5-10 minutes per shot to get all of that out, and then you had your launch conditions. So that was the state of the art in '89. By the time I left Titleist in '96, we had with the portable launch monitors. We had that room down to the size of about a microwave oven. And that you take out onto the outdoors. You could take it outdoors, and it was portable. And then by the late '90s, that was when Trackman and Flight Scope, the dual Doppler monitors came about. So those are the guys that really started this whole the whole business of launch monitors and creating this accurate data at the peak of the pyramid. And then you fast forward to 2010, when our founder is working on what becomes a $2,000 launch monitor that is also very accurate for kind of what we saw for the bottom of the pyramid, for the average player to use in their basement or their garage. So it's just fascinating how it's kind of gone from a big room down to down to now, with our mobile launch monitor, down to something that's basically using your phone.
I mean, that's just unbelievable that you guys are taking Polaroid pictures, drawing lines on them, getting out the protractors and the compass, and I mean, I think that people don't appreciate the math that goes into all the calculations and how far we've come to have these amazing little devices. Like, well, first of all, just like a Trackman, but then now even more condensed, less expensive, like the mobile launch monitor. So tell us a little bit about now what it has evolved into from the Skytrak software that you guys had and those units to now what you guys pretty much launched at this past PGA show. Yeah,
so the Skytrak is essentially, it's still an optical monitor where we're capturing the ball as it's being hit. So from this view, so if the ball is being hit this way, you're gonna take two shots or multiple shots of the ball as it's leaving. You're only going to see a certain window, and through that initial launch, you can tell all the rotations, all the angles, and you can predict out where it's going to go. Still a very, very accurate. Most of the launch monitors nowadays that are not dual Doppler are this optical that are they're all pretty accurate. So what we've done is our technology combines now this optical with radar. So what we do is we use radar. We have a little unit here. This is our mobile launch monitor. We have a little radar unit in here in this device. It goes Bluetooth to your phone, and you basically put your phone on here. So you're going to use the camera on your phone, and you need to set this up directly in back of you, looking straight down the target line. So the camera on your phone is actually going to track the ball. So the radar on this unit is going to get the velocity of the ball, and then with Bluetooth, using the camera on your phone and using basically this computing engine that's inside your phone, it's going to combine that radar velocity data with the actual images of the ball as it's being hit to give you very accurate information in terms of launch angles and distance, and in a way that we can do it very inexpensively. So it's a $500 retail unit that's going to give you, I'd say, within 1.5 to 2% accuracy levels in terms of all the major distance, ball velocities, launch angles to a dual Doppler unit.
That's unbelievable. So say that again. Within 1.5 to 2% accuracy.
2%. We've done a lot of testing out of golf labs. With the robots, we do a lot of testing with players, with Trackman, with FlightScope, with GC Quads, with Skytrak, and in general, 2% is the number that we'd like to give. We feel comfortable that on a 100-yard shot, we're going to be between 98 to 100 and 102, in that ballpark level for distance accuracy, which for the most of us is perfectly fine.
And for those that aren't watching, that are listening to this on the audio podcast, Art was just showing the actual launch monitor. It's not much bigger than your phone, and then your phone actually stands up in it. So, I mean, literally, you could have this in your pocket. You can carry this in your golf bag. What do you need as far as to be able to get the full usability out of it, space wise, taking it to the driving range? How far do you set it up behind you?
Yeah, so it needs to be approximately 6 to 8 feet in back of the ball, looking straight down the target line. It does sit on the ground, so it needs to be a flat ground and about the same level as the golf ball. So if you're at a range where the mats are a little bit elevated, or they're on a little bit of on a pad up off the concrete, then you probably need to. What we tell people is elevate your launch monitor so that's the same level as the ball. So put it on a sleeve of balls. Put it on a dozen ball box, something like that. So you need about 6 to 8 feet looking straight down the line. The benefit of it is that because we're using the camera on your phone, so we're going to use the camera to track the ball as you hit it. But the camera is also getting good view of your swing. Mm-hmm. So what we like to say is we're going to give you the full cause and effect. You set this thing up, you just leave it on. You can actually wave your club in front of it, and it will recognize the markings on the bottom of your club. It'll recognize that's a 6-iron. It'll see the number 6. It'll automatically switch to 6-iron setting, so it knows you're hitting 6. Then you just hit balls automatically. You don't have to do anything. You just hit balls, and it will automatically clip every swing and the resulting data. So then you come back, you hit 26 irons, you stop, you come back, I'm going to hit replay, and you can get the full swing. You'll get a recording of the full swing. You'll get the shot trace. You'll actually see the trace of the ball that you've hit with a shot tracer, and you'll get all the data. You'll get all the launch conditions and the distance all you can actually hit balls, and if you want to see the shot right away, you just look back at your phone, and you'll see the replay of the shot with the data, with the shot tracer. So it's you get the full cause and effect swing and results on your phone, stored in your phone. You can send it to your, if you hit a good shot, you can send it to your teacher. You can send it to your golf buddies that don't believe you just hit that shot. There's a texting feature. There's a social media sharing feature that you can clip those little shots and send them to people.
Well, one of the pieces that I love, and I've been following you guys on Instagram, is the long drive piece, where you basically have a long drive contest going on. You have your bombs of the week, I think is what you're calling it on social media, where right. You've got the video of the swing, but you've also got the data. So once again, you can prove to your buddies, hey, I just poked that one out there 315 or whatever it might be, and you could send it to them. But you can kind of set up where you're playing in a long drive competition with your buddies, or I think there's even is there closest to the pin one as well?
There is a closest to the pin. You can set games up and play it between friends. We actually have something going now where, because Major League Baseball is off, And we have a huge MLB business where we're measuring ball flight for all these MLB teams, and we sell units, baseball and golf, directly to MLB players. So we're doing a feature now where we're getting the MLB players to compete against each other,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, so we're having kind of bombs of the week based on MLB players. So if you go on our Twitter feed, or on Instagram, I think you'll see some of these MLB stories, and you get to see how these guys act. A lot of them are really good golfers.
Oh, I've seen some swings. I mean, there's one. I think this was at Top Golf not too long ago, but we talked about it on the podcast. It was Mike Trout, and I mean, just hitting bombs.
Smoked it. I
Yeah,
smoked. I saw that one. I
I
saw that.
I
Yeah.
mean, those guys. Some of them have such a natural swing, but the power that they have too is amazing. So, Art, what are the ways that you're seeing? Because obviously, it's fun to see the long drive. It's fun to see the shot tracer. But what are the ways that you guys are seeing people actually use these to really improve their game? Because ultimately, it's great to have the tech. It's great to have all these new toys. But one thing that, after talking to your team, was seeing how it's really helping people like understand what they're doing when they're out at the driving range, going out there and practicing with a purpose. So, what are some of the ways that people are using this?
Right. And I think there's a wide range. I think immediately most people benefit from the video aspect, the full cause and effect, being able to see their swing. Because a lot of people don't, and most amateurs don't view their swings on video. So to be able to see the swing and then immediately see the resulting shot shape, and I think the initial direction of the shot, whether it's leaving left, leaving right, or leaving straight, and with the corresponding swing, is probably the key piece of data that people are getting out of that. So that's number one. The second is the club gapping. Most people do not know exactly how far they hit each club. Most people have some sort of crossover, whether it's in their short game or in their long game, whether it's their 4 and their 5 irons that are going about the same distance, whether it's their 4 iron and their 5 hybrid or their 4 hybrid going about the same distance. That you have these areas where you're kind of using the club just because that's the way you bought the clubs, as opposed to really going through and mapping out what your distance needs are, which is the way you should be doing it, right? It really doesn't matter what the number is on the club. Each tool you have in your bag is designed to go a certain distance, and if you don't know what distance they're going, you're not really utilizing the 14 clubs in your bag as efficiently as you could. So the one piece of data that's immediately helpful to most golfers is club gap. Let's go ahead and we'll hit balls, and you can throw out the shots that you don't. If you're saying, you know what, I didn't get that one, I didn't get them, that's fine. And you want to keep the good ones, just keep the good ones. But at least when I hit a good one and I get a 95% or 98% 5 iron, this is how far it goes, and this is how far my 95 or 100% hybrid goes, and I can feel comfortable about that. And if it's not comfortable, then I need to know what I need to get in my bag. I need to replace that 5 hybrid with a 4 hybrid, or I need to replace my 54 with a 56 because I'm not gapped properly.
Yeah, you're speaking to a guilty party right here as far as not really knowing and dialing in, my distances on different clubs, and I'm excited, but also kind of ashamed to say I haven't been able to go out and use the unit yet because obviously with everything going on, I haven't been out to the driving range yet. But that's one of the things that I'm so excited about is finally understanding, what I hit different clubs. And I think most of us tend to kind of remember, what's the best shot that we hit with that club. And that's kind of the yardage that we have in our head, which is why many times we end up falling short on certain shots to the green or approach shots, things like that. So just being able to really dial this in is what I'm most excited about. What can we expect in the future from Rapsodo? I know there's some rumors of maybe even having some new capabilities outside of just being able to use it out on the driving range.
Yeah, so part of the benefit of this is the mobile nature. So you could take this out on the range. You could take this out on the golf course. It's very easy to set up. If we were 4 of us were playing out on playing around a golf, if you were first off the tee, Jeff, you're walking up the tee. I'm pulling my launch monitor out. I'm asking Jeff, what are you hitting? And so you don't have to wave the club. I can just put the club in. You're going to hit 7 iron. It's a par 3, and I put that in. By the time you're set up behind the ball, I have this set up. I've eyeballed the direction. I'm out of your way. You go ahead and hit. And by the time all four of us hit, I pick the thing up, I have my phone, and I can text you your shot. Before we get to the ball, you'll have the recording of your shot with the swing, with the data. So the idea is that you're getting real information both on the practice range and on the course. It's that portability. So part of that portability really leads to remote teaching. So one of the things we're working on is the idea of being able to connect, what we call Coach Connect, being able to have to send lessons back and forth, or shots from the golf course back and forth with my teacher. I just hit that 7-iron. I hit that one really good. I want to send it to my pro, saying that's the one that I want you to see, that I can't replicate on the range. So I send it to him. They have it. We have a back and forth, a way to have this communication on the mobile launch monitor app. Of course, your pro has to have the app as well, but you can teach that way. So we're talking to a lot of teachers that say they're going to use this to supplement their lessons. So if I go to see my pro once every other month, then what the answer, his question is always going to be, what have you been doing between our lessons? Are you been doing the drills I've been sending you? Have you been, how's it been going? Now we have a running history. He can see what's going on. He can send me drills, lessons, tips back and forth during, in between the in-person sessions. So we have that communication. And then the other feature that we're about to introduce that is more timely, I think, with what's going on now with COVID-19 is a net capability. So right now, the launch monitor, because it sits in back of you and it looks down the range, down the ball flight, it needs about 50, 60 feet of ball flight in order to calculate the proper data. And so up till now, you have not been able to hit into a net. So our engineers have been working very hard to work on a net version that only requires 8 feet of ball flight. I think most of the typical launch monitors indoors are going to require about 8 feet of ball flight. So we're in beta testing right now. I'd say we're about 10 days away from a public release of what we call MLM net capability, where you'll be able to toggle between. It's just a software change, just an app update, where you can use it indoor, you can use it outdoor. You go to hit play, and it'll ask you, are you indoor or into a net? And if you're into a net, it uses slightly different algorithms to process what's going on in that first 8 feet of ball flight. It's a little bit limited. Obviously, 8 feet of ball flight, we're not going to be able to give you a full shot trace, but we are going to give you good data, and of course, you still get the view from behind, so you get to see your swing and you get to see your data all together, and then we keep all your data separately, whether it's a net data or outdoor data. We keep it in 2 separate files for you.
Oh man, you're right. Talk about timely. I mean, everybody's kind of just itching to be able to do anything. And anybody that has, I've seen a lot of people getting these backyard nets and setting things up. I've got a net at the gym, which this would be perfect to be using there, just because we're so cooped up and cramped. But what a great way to work on your game. Now this, just to clarify, if somebody already has the monitor, it's just a software upgrade once you guys turn this on, though, right? It's not like you have to get a new monitor. It's not like you have a whole new launch process or anything like that. It's the same little thing. It's just software updates.
It's just like any other app from the App Store. You'll get a little indicator. Hey, there's a new version of your app. You click here to update on the App Store. You just click there, updates the app on your phone. That's it. You don't have to change anything else. And that really is the basis for most of our technology. Most of our technology algorithm based. It's all based in the app, so that you don't have to change the hardware.
That's incredible. The Coach Connect thing sounds awesome to me too. Obviously, I'm coming from more the fitness side of it, and you and I have talked about this a little bit. But just having the ability for me to maybe connect with the coach of the students that I'm working with. So if a golfer is working with a fitness professional and a swing coach, to be able to share those videos back and forth. I mean, I can think of situations where I've got a guy that's working on something, or maybe I need to know what he's working on. And if the coach had the video and had the stats and was able to send it over, and we knew, okay, day one, his swing speed is 105, and this is what his swing looks like, and hey, Jeff, these are the things that we're working on, and he could kind of give me that information right there with some video of that golfer. That's so much more helpful than the student trying to relay from his teaching pro. Hey, this is what Joe, my teaching pro, was trying to get me to do. Instead of, we're almost like cutting out the middleman there of trying to relay those messages, which I think is a really important piece.
Yeah, the direct communication. I mean, look at all technologies nowadays. I mean, look at like a Peloton and the way they can deliver fitness and training from a remote, from your own home. I think that's the direction the technology is taking things. This actually helped start off early. We had early conversations. We had the mobile launch monitor through mutual friends. We got to know Mike Malaska. So Mike, one of the top teachers in the world, out in the Phoenix area. And we sat down with Mike, and Mike was telling us, look, I have people that are flying in. They're private jets. They'll come in. They'll spend a day. They'll book me for the whole day on a Friday or Saturday, and then they'll fly out of here, and then they'll come back. They'll come back a month later or 6 weeks later. They'll fly back in again, and I have no idea what they're doing in that 6 weeks between lessons. And frankly, since I don't know what they're doing, their money, that sometimes they haven't done a thing, they haven't worked, and they're not utilizing this process, and not utilizing their investment properly. And he said, if I could just have a way to give them one of these launch monitors, to where when I'm not in front of them, I can send them drills, I can send them tips, I can send them video, and then I can see how they're doing with it, and I don't have to be in front of them. He said that's huge. That's a game changer. So that's when it really started to click that this idea of, I don't think that ever. It's like with your business, Jeff. The in-person visit, you can never completely eliminate it. You don't want to eliminate that. You always have that need, but this helps supplement that between lessons, and so that led to more conversations that we had. So it culminated in our relationship with Golf Digest. So we launched a deal with Golf Digest. We announced it in January, where we are combining their Golf Digest Schools app that they're completely revamping. At the premium tier is going to use mobile launch monitor as part of it. They'll sell a subscription to their app it includes a mobile launch monitor that you can then go back and forth with any of their top teachers in the world. You can search for them, or you can use your own teacher, utilizing their library of drills, their library of videos to help you get better with the assistance of one of their top teaching professionals.
That's awesome. When is the Coach Connect? Do you think that's going to be live for, the open public use?
Yeah, Coach Connect will. Our target is to have it by the end of May. So we're going to be looking for teaching professionals first to do betas, because really the Coach Connect, the initial Coach Connect is going to be driven at the teacher as a way for the teacher to then communicate with their students. So we're going to be doing betas with teachers probably starting in about 2 weeks, actually, in early May, and then with a live release by the end of May, first week in June.
Okay. And do you already have teachers lined up, or are people still able to get into some of that beta testing?
We have teachers lined up, but we're always interested in the more. It's true with any of this software. You never really know exactly what problems you're going to have until you put it through its paces. And the more teachers we have to help us with the beta, the better. Every teacher will have some new environment or some new change that we didn't foresee that really helps us fine tune the release. So if there are teachers out there that are interested in doing it, yeah, they should please contact us. They can contact us through our Rapsodo.com website.
Cool. I'm curious to get your take on just kind of the current situation with everything going on in the economy. I know that you've obviously been a part of the golf world for a long time. You were with Titleist and then kind of took a break a little bit, but then came back. And, I've seen you down at the PGA show the last several years. First of all, what do you think is going to happen to the industry, maybe even in this immediate future? Do you think we'll have a PGA show next year? And how is this going to impact companies that are, really used to releasing new things every year, but we've kind of had this huge lull?
Yeah, I think that golf is similar to most other businesses. Is that we will get back to something that is normal, but it will be a little different than what it was in the past. I think we're all finding ways, whether it's working from home or whether it's remote coaching, We're finding ways that are making our lives and our business more efficient that I think that we're always going to want to retain. My guess is that so for the PGA show, for example, by January, I'm not sure if they're going to get the same type of. I don't know if people are going to want to be getting on planes and being in large conventions by January. So they're going to have to deal with things a little bit more remotely. If for us, if we have major retail partners that we wanted to talk to, instead of having putting up a booth down there and waiting and having appointments for them to come to us, we would just do virtual appointments ahead of time. We would schedule everything ahead of time, and we would do our selling, one-on-one. I think many of the top golf manufacturers started doing that years ago, where they would, if you had most of your business coming from these major retailers, you don't really have substantive conversations at the show. You have substantive conversations before then, and one-on-one when you have their undivided attention. You go to their place, or you bring them into your place. I think that I think it will change a little bit. I think the business, I think more remote. There will absolutely be more remote capabilities, both to conduct business and to play and or teach the game of golf.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was actually just talking to a neighbor of mine this morning, going for a little stroll in the park, and ran into him, and he's in the software business and has a software company, and I was asking him how things are going, because I see him working on his front porch every day, and he's like, we've got an office downtown, we've got an office in Denver, and I'm not sure we're going to renew our leases. I think we're realizing that we can streamline without having to go into the office. We can make our appointments. We can do these live calls. And I think a lot of companies in the golf world, outside of the golf world, are going to be kind of looking at that very closely on how they can cut costs and really minimize some of this, use and need for all this overhead, all the overhead price and structures that they already have built out.
Yeah, it's interesting because our business, we just, and that where we are here in St. Louis, they were tearing our building down. The city had to tear our building down because they were doing some renovations to the creek. So we got kicked out of our building right at the time when we had to go remote anyway, and we decided to not sign a new lease. We're still looking, so we don't have no lease. I'm looking for a new building, thinking about when we're going to come back, and I'm absolutely going through those thought processes, saying, well, let's see, we have 22 people here in St. Louis. Do I really need to have an office that where all 22 of us have full-time, 5 days a week access there? Maybe not. Maybe we want to have it a little bit smaller, and we don't really want to have too many times when all of us are all together there, because it's just not as necessary anymore.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where everything goes with all that. Now, have you been able to get out and at least swing the sticks a little bit or hit any balls recently?
I have. I'm very lucky. I live out here for those of you in St. Louis area, so Forest Hills out here in the western suburbs has been open. So I get out and I can play 9 holes every now and then. It has, it's all been social distancing, wider tee times. We have the pool noodle in the cup. No clubhouse is open, but it's nice to go out and in the evenings get a few holes in, and with a friend, and it's a little semblance of normal. I really look forward to that happening around the rest of the country. I think that there are definitely ways to play golf and still maintain the social distancing that's required, that our country needs. I think golf can help.
I think so too. I think golf is probably one of the first sports that people can actually get back to. Obviously, many haven't stopped; they've just had to make alterations. But I think that both professionally and just recreationally, I think golf is probably and should be on the forefront there. Art, before I let you go, I've got some standard questions that we ask everybody that comes on the show. If you're ready.
All right, fire away.
All right, my friend. Caddyshack or Happy Gilmore?
Oh, not even close. Caddyshack. Those of us of a certain age, Caddyshack. Come on. I literally. Do you ever go through an 18-hole round without quoting something from Caddyshack? I don't think ever.
No, not even close. All
Not
right.
even close.
If you could play a round of golf with anyone in the world, could be past, present, or future, or past or present, who would it be, and where would you play?
Yeah, to me, and to me, golf is very personal, and it's not, so to me, it would definitely be to play another round of golf with my dad. My dad passed away, and it's been 6 years now, and probably the those were the only times when we really had talks about life, about just general, the because we weren't that talkative anywhere else, but especially late in his life, that's where we started to get a few of those really more open-ended questions that I really enjoyed. To me, that's what I enjoy about golf, is it's the personal relationship. So frankly, I don't even care who the other two are. I would love to have another round with my dad. Where I'd have it, I'd like to say my favorite 18 holes of golf would be the front nine at Royal County Down twice. I played that the front nine at Royal County Down. To me was a fantastic. The front nine specifically, a little bit more remote. The back nine, you can see a little few of the homes there. And then in the U.S., Shinnecock. I think Shinnecock is. I only played it once. It was many years ago, and I can still visually see 3 or 4 holes. And it's a great golf course when you just remember standing on the tee and you can kind of picture how everything looks. And that's the way Shinnecock was.
Oh, I love it. All right, last one. If you could pick a walk-up song to the first tee box, what's your walk-up song going to be?
Oh, walk-up song. I mean, yeah, you rile up the crowd. You got to go AC/DC. I think Trevor Hoffman already has Hell's Bells, so I don't want to. You can't steal Hell's Bells. So maybe something like Thunderstruck, or something that some heavy pounding AC/DC. I'll go with Thunderstruck.
I like it. Coming out strong. Getting ready to hit a bomb.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, Art, I really appreciate your time coming on the show, sharing Rapsodo with everybody, but even more importantly, sharing just your story and your lessons learned in the world of golf and all the experience you've had. So really appreciate you coming on.
Enjoyed it, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
You got it. We'll talk very soon. All right, everybody, I want to thank you for joining us here on the live podcast with Art Chou from Rapsodo. We will be coming back again in the next couple of days with another live interview, so be on the lookout on our social media for our up-and-coming guests when we're posting these, and then these will also be put onto the regular podcast on iTunes over the next several weeks. I want to once again thank our sponsors, Linksole, for everything that they do for the 18 Strong podcast. Just go to 18strong.com/Linksole to get your discount code. We put up a new code every single month to get 20% off. And I do want to say thanks to the guys over at Rapsodo, Art, and the team. They have put together a deal for the 18 Strong audience. If you go over to Rapsodo.com, and you go to the golf section and you look at the mobile launch monitor, if you use the code 18strong.MLM, that's for mobile launch monitor, you're going to save $50 on your mobile launch monitor. So thanks to those guys, and thanks to Art for coming on the show. All right, we'll catch up with you again soon. Train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.